Hello, friends, and welcome, everybody. So I'll do a quick recap. Most of you have been with me, but a few new friends, and who knows who does the dang videos, right? We started the beginning of the year with our feet, the foundation of our feet, and we really took the time to break that down pretty intensely, right? And then we moved up last week and we went into the thigh bones. The connection of, depending on where my feet are, it affects my thigh bones, and the position of my thigh bones can really affect what happens through this region. And often, not always, but often plays a part if you have sensitivity, SI, stability, sciatica, all of the various things through that region. Having awareness of that can be incredibly helpful. And then today we're bringing it up to what I consider another big foundation, so to speak. And that's this piece right here. Yeah. And I think of it wrapping all the way around the body. I'm going to do a brief lecture and then we'll move with it, right? Because once you're on your back, you can't see me as well. I always talk about that dang corset, right? So if you want to get technical, and you know I do, it's what I do, right? The muscular part of it is actually right there. Put your hands on your love handles, the lovely love handles, right? So right there, a little deeper in, it's the deepest layer of muscles we have in our abdominals, right? Are the muscles. And then there's fascia that stems out from that. It moves forward around, right? With a little split right there, that's natural. And it moves around back behind you as well. So move in just slightly, gently pull that in with your hands, right? Use your hands just so you feel it. And then see if you can't find the front belly and the low back really gently, all pulling into the center. And that's the corset, the deepest layer of abdominals, the transversus abdominis. I'm going to talk about it a lot today. So now you know, hopefully. We'll play with a felt sense in a little bit. Everyone's already sitting, but I think I'm still going to bring us down to our backs. So come on down onto your backs, because that's where we're going to start moving from. Let's do our beginning awareness from there as well. Have a block where you can grab it. That way you don't have to go searching for it. Yeah. If you're already down, awesome sauce. Stay there. If you're not already down, that roll down technique, pushing through the inner edge of the feet, not letting your thighs go wide. That's been the past 2 weeks, right? And you can have your feet wide, knees leaning in, constructive rest. You can have your legs extended all the way out, shavasana, right? You do the one that feels the most beneficial in your body at this moment in time. But above all, soften, right? So start to check into that physical body and invite that physical body to soften wherever you might feel tension or contraction of the muscles. I'm going to turn those overheads down just a titch for you. And just get a felt sense of the body in general, yeah? And of course, we have that beautiful breath we can start to bring into the practice. I always think of the breath being kind of a bridge between your gross body, physical, tangible, and the subtle body, that energetic body, right? Because it kind of touches both. The air we bring in is not tangible, but the movement of the ribs, right? Of the chest, the back, that is. And for my friends who live in that realm of the subtle body and have been practicing there, just check into your subtle body here before we move too much. Instincts, desires, wills, emotions, thoughts, etc. And then let's all of us go ahead and work with the breath in this way today, right? It's really subtle. Please be willing to be subtle with it. Soft belly breath, start there. When you inhale, the belly is so soft, the belly gently floats up away from the spine. The low back doesn't arch, you don't push the belly up, right? And when you exhale, the belly moves back down towards the spine. Let it be that simple. Awareness in the belly and how when that area is soft, it naturally moves on the breath because of the diaphragm's actions, yeah? And then The next time you exhale, I want you to add at the very end of the exhale, soft belly breath, regular old soft belly until the end of the exhale. At the end of the exhale, go ahead and just pull that belly a little towards the center, right, of your body, towards the belly button, the midline, and a little down towards your spine. Baby, 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 right? And then you'll inhale, soft belly breath. You'll exhale, soft belly breath until the very end. When it's naturally kind of at its end, you're going to do just a little pull of the belly in towards the center and down towards the spine. We're not doing it so with so much force that our low back is going down to the floor, right? We're keeping our low back curve for the most part. And just starting to get familiar with that territory of the front abdominals. So now everybody put your feet on the ground with your knees bent, feet about hip distance. We're going to do a little strengthening first, and then we'll go into a little release. So now bring your hands, interlace your hands behind your head. Shoulder sensitive friends, you could do what we just did the whole time if this feels like too much for your shoulder girdle. Take an inhale, soft belly breath. Exhale, soft belly breath. And at the end, when you pull that belly down, pull the upper belly down so much your upper body lifts a couple of inches above the floor. Let the head hang in the hammock of the hands. Inhale, come on down. Try to get soft as soon as you can and let the belly rise. Soft in the belly, I mean. And then when you exhale again at the very end of it today, you're going to pull down and let that lift your upper body. I call these yogi sit-ups, right? So they're not, keep going. They're not your traditional trying to crunch all the way up and in. The elbows are staying very wide. I'm trying not to engage my upper body, or at least as little as I need to. And I'm trying to hold the weight of my upper body, pull it up and hold it up with my abdominal muscles. If that doesn't make sense, holler out to me. And then the next time you come up, let's all stay up. I can't tell you how many times I work with people and they're still holding on in their neck, even though the hands are there. So just have that communication. Hey, neck, you don't need to work right now, my love. Can you release and let go? And the answer may be no, and that's okay. Don't judge your neck for it, right? We're learning. And then from there, my elbows don't go any higher away from the floor, but my right elbow is going to slide down towards the right foot side of my mat. So it's a side crunch. Yeah. And I inhale back to center. And when I exhale, my left elbow kind of slides towards my left hip. It doesn't get higher off the floor or lower. It stays at the same height, right? And you inhale center, that's your new motion. If this becomes too much at any point in time or your neck can't let go and it gets sore, just come on down and take a brief rest. But now I'm keeping that contraction through my abdomen to keep me lifted the whole time. And I'm adding in this work in my side waist, right? When you've done the left, the next time, come back to center, come on down, bring your arms into Shavasana style for a moment. You can leave your feet there. For a lot of us, walking the feet a little wider and leaning the knees in helps so the muscles are not turned on to hold the legs. My point is, get soft, y'all. Take a couple of breaths and invite the belly to be as soft as possible. It may still want to contract because it was just doing that. A lot of us hold our stress in tension in the belly, right? So allowing that belly to be 100% soft if you can find it. Okie dokie, artichokes, as promised, a release. Your feet are hopefully already wide. If not, widen them. Let the knees come apart. Slide the arms up, teed out. Windshield wiper, y'all know this one. Your knees are going to go right, center, left, center. And if you went to the left first, that would be okay too, right? Just go ahead and let your legs wish-wash back and forth. I'm going to suggest adding the breath and having it be a slightly slower motion, if that feels okay. Oh, big yawn. Modifications, maybe the head turns, right? The opposite direction of the knees, maybe not. If you want to add that knee swing I love so much, in case you don't know that one, when the knees go to the right, the left knee swings up towards the right armpit-ish. We're just going to start to wake up that outer hip and low back with that one maybe. The foot comes down, you go to the left and the right knee swing, something like that. Yeah. And then we're going to do this weird circle thing. So we're going to all get on the same track just in case it's not familiar. Come back to center. And then when your knees go to the right, let them come over, let that left knee swing up towards the chest. And then you're going to actually roll onto your back. Your left knee comes across your chest. Your right knee will follow to neutral, right? And then bring that left foot down to the edge of the mat. And now swing your right knee up towards your chest and circle that right thigh. Let the hips follow that motion. Foot comes down on the right edge. The knees go to the other side. The left knee swings. So I'm doing it if it doesn't make sense. If you're not sure, there's not really a huge right or wrong. Circle your thigh bones and let the pelvis be free. We're not stabilizing pelvis. Yeah. It's kind of like not exactly a figure eight, but no, it's not a figure eight at all. Never mind. I take that back. It's just two big circles. That are not stacked on top of each other. And then the next time you're down with your feet, bring your knees back up to the center where we started this whole shindig. Walk your feet into hip distance. Let's bring our knees into our chest and give them a hug. Maybe a little rock right to left would feel mighty fine in your body. If not, don't do it. The usuals. And then with your hands on your kneecaps-ish, go ahead and circle your knees. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to not use your hands. But, if you're like, I do not like my hands on my legs, or, depending on proportions and whatnot, it might not be awesome for you. Go ahead and go the other way. But we will move without hands in a second. But I want you to notice how the arms are doing most of the work. The hips are pretty free, right? The belly's pretty free. Now we're going to reverse that. Now bring your arms down wherever they're comfortable. Now let your knees start to circle together without the hands. And now everything comes from that mid area, right? So keep just a little toning in the belly the further the knees get away, so you don't overarch your low back. If you have a sensitive low back, you might not need to tone it at all, right? Go the other way, and maybe you get a little bigger with that circle. And of course, the further the knees go, A to the side and B forward, the more we're asking of our mid area, our abdominal area. Yeah, makes sense? And then the next time you're over to the right, let your legs come over to the right, knees up a little bit towards the chest-ish, not an exact science. Maybe right hand out or left thigh, maybe turning head left. And here we are in a passive twist, but with those knees a little higher, probably a little more low backy and a little less thigh and hippie, but maybe not. I'm not in your body. I don't know. Use the belly muscles. You all keep your knees glued together. If they're not, just glue them together as soon as you can. Come back to center by the chest and let the knees go all the way over to the left. So active to get them there, but then be passive once you arrive. Left hand on right thigh, maybe turning head to the right. Whatever variations work for you here, good on you. Soften. And again, using strength to get up, you release the hand off the leg, glue the legs together as soon as you can to bring them up to center, and go ahead and bring the feet down on the ground, feet wide, knees in, arms down into Shavasana style. Pause for a hot second, and softest belly ever, as much as you can anyway. Pelvic floor is soft, so nothing is working right now. Give it a little break. Y'all know I believe that a strong muscle is one that can be 100% supple and contracted, depending on what I need and what I'm asking it to do. I don't have that in my body. I work towards it, right? Some muscles respond better than others. And then go ahead and walk your feet into hip distance. Now we're going to put our hands on our thigh bones. My feet are on the earth right now, right? And I'm going to put my heel of my hands in at my hip joint as close as I can get it, right? And then you're not going to do resistance for this first part. You're going to push your thigh bones forward. And I want you to notice that when you do that, chances are great your low back is picking up off of the floor a little bit, yeah? And release that. So now just start to add breath to it. Every time you exhale, you're pushing the thigh bones forward. They don't go real far, but you are getting that little, what I'm going to call cow arch in the low back, right? Maybe mid back. And then the other thing I want you to bring your awareness to is your diaphragm. Your diaphragm has all these attachment points, right, in the rib basket and a few other areas. But when we go into this motion, we're starting to play with stretching the diaphragm a little bit. So just think of that beautiful domed shaped muscle in the bottom of your rib basket. And the next time you push your thighs away, keep them held away, keep the exhale out. If you can, let that belly gently pull down and in a little bit, like we were practicing at the very beginning of class. It's a little hollowing out of the belly, right? And inhale when you need to, release the legs. And then try to do that one more time. So it's kind of a weird version of Agni Sara, right? You're going to push the thigh bones forward, soft belly breath, but at the end of the exhale, a little contraction of the abdomen in and down, and then keep the air out as long as it is comfortable in your particular body. We're all different here. You'll inhale when you need it and listen to your body. It'll tell you, right? And then you're just going to release the arms out for just a moment. Pause and notice. And the next piece, and then we'll do one more little opening, and then we'll come up off of our backs. Bring your right leg up in a tabletop, right? Knee is above the hip, heels directly out from all the things. The foot is flexed. I got a lot of 90 degrees in my angles in my body right now. And then pause there. Now, before we add that left leg in, we're going to do that. I want you to put your hands on your sideways where we did earlier, if you can find that, right? And I want you to push into your center line and then pull your belly down away from the ceiling a little bit. Pull your low back up away from the floor a little bit and find that support system and bring your left leg up into the party. Yeah? Now, make sure the belly doesn't bulge up. That's incredibly important to me. And then bring your hands back onto your thigh bones. Leave them on your waist if that's a better placement. And do the push-pull. So now I'm not just pushing my thighs away, but my thighs are pulling actively back into my hands. And as I push my legs forward and I pull my hands back, it's kind of hard to skirt your corset. Right? So the corset more than likely is turning on. Does anyone not feel that deep abdominal work? I love you. Let your heels come apart a little bit if they went together. That's not everybody in the house, but that's a few of us. That's that inner groin business from last week, y'all. And oh, isn't this so much fun? One more breath if you got it in you. Can you even breathe while you're doing this work? Holy shit, right? And then go ahead and you'll bring one foot down and then the other. Oh. Anyone feel a little warmth in their abdomen, or is that just me? I'm going to suggest a windshield wiper briefly before you come on up, or some version of that. And if you're like, no, I'd prefer this, cool, you do that, okay? Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning. Bring your knees into your chest, grab the backs of your thighs, rock up. For some of us, our knees and our hip joints ask that we swoosh our legs around. For some of us, we cross our ankles and we boop over, and we're going to end up in downward facing dog. Now, we have not done a lot for those shoulders, so take a couple of seconds and settle in, make movement if that's good for you, right? And just kind of play with downward dog. My regulars, you all know, you might do half downward dog or child's pose with extended arms if that's better for you right now, right? And then once you feel like you're kind of settling in a little bit, we're going to play with the shoulders in this way. You're going to inhale, come forward to the top of a push-up and really reach the chest forward and the heels back. So find the opposition, right? And exhale, moving back into downward dog. So we're going to slide in and out of that a few times. Knees could totally be down if you want that. Inhale forward, top of a push-up. Exhale back, downward dog. I'd like to do that 2 more times if that's all right. Inhale forward, top of a push-up. Exhale back, downward dog. So I'm not going to lie, you're going to hold it, but with your knees down. Inhale forward, top of a push-up. Now bring your knees down, but your knees land behind your hips because we're in a half push-up, right? You can uncurl your toes or not, your choice, but don't let your feet come in. Think about that thigh bone work from last week, right? And then look back for just a second, as a matter of fact. If you can see your feet, they're too far together, right? So separate them out a little bit. And then re-extend, look forward again, a little in front of your hands. Try to find that same work. If I brought a very angled ceiling down on your back, we would want the back of your head to touch that, your shoulder blades to touch that, the bottom of your rib cage and your sacrum. Try to see if you can find that if you imagined that angled wall against your back body. Can you find that you're pulling your belly up away from the floor, the low back gently away from the ceiling, right? And that your side rib, the waist, where your hands were earlier, can that pull into the midline? Yeah. Okay, woo, let's get out of there. How about a child's pose? Let those knees go wide, big toes touch. Keep the hips higher if you have sensitivity in your knees, you know, take care of yourself. And just a reminder, because I have a decent amount of sensitive knee friends these days, remember, you can always do the wide-legged forward fold and work from that place. Okie dokie, artichokes. We're going to move to downward dog, but I'm going to ask you to do it through an extended child's pose with some of the foundational stuff. So stretch your arms forward. Start there. Have your hands about as wide as your mat today. Make sure, look forward and try to have your index fingers pointing forward. So my fingers turn out ever so slightly. Just for today's purpose, if you don't mind, right? Play with it. Rotate your outer upper arm bones in towards your face, all the stuff. So that is downward facing dog upper body, but I'm not bearing the weight. It's way easier to find here, y'all. And then try to keep some of that. Inhale up to hands and knees. Now, where's your core line? Reach your buttocks bones back, your crown of your head forward, and find all the work we just did. Curl your toes under, keep that. And start to make your way back. I'll always suggest bent knees for a hot second so you keep the spine working real good, right? And then maybe heels reach down, maybe not. Most all you all know your patterns at this point in time, and maybe you have a different pattern today, right? Be open for that with no expectations. But you know, if you know you flare your ribs towards your thighs, you might ask your solar plexus to pull back a little bit and breathe into your kidneys, right? If you know that your upper back rounds forward, you might try to slide that area between the shoulder blades towards the chest in a little bit, right? Etc. Take a breath. Exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. Hands on shins, reach that chest forward. Halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, right? Exhale, fold. We're gonna do that 3 times, y'all. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, soft neck right here. Inhale, pause when you get into your Ardha Uttanasana, right? So you know that I'm a believer that it's not just we come halfway up, right? From here, as if you were still doing that top of a push-up and I brought a ceiling down, try to find those points of contact to your imaginary ceiling. Try to find the side waist moving in, the low belly pulling up a little bit, the low back pulling down. So everything moves to the center of your body in that abdomen area, right? And then where's your upper back and all that? Hands on the hips, elbows up. Come on up, 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 up. You made it. Woohoo! By the way, I did turn the heat down. She had it on 72 this morning. I was like, holy crap. Go ahead and walk your feet forward. So I'm trying to get it down to 69, so it's not quite so oppressive when we go into the heat. You're like, we're already in the heat. Standing up nice and tall. Take a hot second. I'm going to take a second with it because we broke it down, right? Where's your weight in your feet? Make sure you're in all 3 points of each tripod. Right? And then those thigh bones, right? We want those thigh bones to work. The more the weight is in the heels, the more the thigh bones can start to move back. Hyperextenders, pull kneecaps up, right? And then hopefully we can pull those frontal hip points up a little bit. Those ribs can come down a little bit for some of us to say hi. And again, it's that same thing. I'm not just slamming my abdomen in, right? That's not it. That's not the work. It's so much subtler. Gently move your side waist in, your low belly back, your low back in, gently, like 12%. And now think of all of it getting longer and taller, reaching up. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, try not to let those hips go back. But you remember when we made the block go back that was between our thighs? If you don't know about it, don't worry about it. Hands on the shins, halfway up. Find your core right here. Exhale, soften your core, particularly soften the neck. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Find that length as soon as you can and bring it up. And exhale, bring your arms either forward, down by your side, whatever line you want. Awesome. Good on you. And pause. I just want to point out, right? I don't necessarily do 12,000 sit-ups and things like that. I teach core in almost everything that I do. Instead of doing this and just kind of coming up, right? We're working with weight. We're doing all kinds of things where we have to work the region, right? Inhale, reach those arms out and up. So we're going to play with that. Exhale, fold. I stay long, 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 but yeah, then I soften one little vertebrae at a time, including my atlas. And then I re-extend, I re-engage all the muscles that support my spinal column. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step, step, plank, top of a push-up. Bring those knees down, back behind you again, half push-up, right? Try to find that imaginary angular wall ceiling that you come into contact with, if that's making sense. Now you're not coming down until the third time, so don't go too low, y'all. You would not go lower than shoulders to the height of the elbows at all. Exhale, elbows bend straight back, whatever that is for you, a half an inch, a few inches, right? Inhale, come on up. What does your belly do when you do that? Exhale, is it down, or can you keep it toned to your spine? And inhale up. What's your upper back doing? You're going to hover, and then we'll come to down, down, down. But hover for a hot second. Look a little forward. Try to find your upper back between your shoulder blades, and then come on down. Oh, uncurl your toesies. Inhale, low cobra. Feet down, thighs lift, inner groin roll up. All the things from the past 2 weeks. Exhale, come on down. And again, inhale. What moves down to bring the body up, right? Exhale down. We're going to add on with the next one, y'all. Inhale, feet down, pubic bone, hands down a little bit, right? Everything else lifting up and getting buoyant. Reach your arms back so your palms face one another by your thighs-ish, right? And then from there, do you remember last week's work when we had a block between our thighs? Wasn't that uncomfortable? But didn't it teach us the position of the legs? Big toes heavy, inner groin up, and then maybe those feet lift up a few inches, Shalabhasana. But again, if your pinky toes roll high and you squeeze the inner bum, I think you're doing a disservice, and it would be better to work with the feet down to maintain that release of that compression. There it is, Terry. And breathe. Come on, down, down. Whew. You can just rest the arms, palms up by the side. Turn head one direction. If you have a different thing you need for your neck, you do it. So I want you to think about how when I do a sit-up, I contract the front side of my body. When I'm coming into this pose, I'm contracting the back side, and I'm going to talk about that next. Forehead towards the ground. Turn your palms down. We're going to leave our hands on the earth this time, y'all, for a little bit. Push your feet down, thighs get buoyant, tailbone down, belly gets buoyant, hands down, shoulders, head, and chest get buoyant. So we're in half locus, right? A version of it anyway. Imagine that block between your thighs, pinky toes, stay heavy. That's the last 2 weeks of work, right? Lift the legs or don't. Point your big toes straight back, crown of the head forward. And I want you to think about the muscles at the cap, that's right at the occiput, neck and skull connect, right? And then think about those contracting towards your tailbone contracting towards. I don't mean that has to bring you up really high. I don't mean you should be like, ugh. I mean, if you think about those muscles shortening, that is what is lifting you at the moment. Yeah, makes sense? Bring the arms up, palms turn in. Lift the shoulders a little higher with that motion if it's available in the shoulder girdle. We just open the shoulders in a different way, right? And exhale down, palms up. Again, either turning to the other side, or if you'd prefer, crocodile, good on you. But soften everything, particularly your paraspinals along both sides of the spine. That's what we really just kicked into gear. Hands next to low floating ribs-ish. Think traditional cobra, right? Serpent is the actual translation. Inhale up into low cobra. Still super cool to call it low cobra. And then from there, we're going to try and come through a half push-up. Come down just a little bit with your upper body, but keep a little information, right? Knees down, curl the toes under. And then where is your belly in all of this, right? So find your pelvic floor, find that corset on all sides of the body coming in and supporting, and then straighten your arms. Whoosh. And then just in case someone wants it, come back down. You either do a half push-up up again, or you do a full push-up. I'll talk full push-up through. Push your heels back, crown of the head forward, get frickin' long, and then support it. And then try to keep your knees lifted and straighten your arms, but don't let your belly drop down. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Woo. Yeah, that's the only one of those I'm gonna do today. My belly started to drop at the very last bit. And breathe. Some days I got that. Some days it's like, nope, not today, mama. And the wisdom, the discernment, I have grown to know the difference between the two. I'm pretty Happy with myself about that business. That took a dang long time. So I want to do this one more time because we're really trying to teach this line on you, Terry. And no, you can keep the knees bent, my love. Keep them a little bent, but it's that inner groin moving back, right? So you get that freedom here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Take another breath. We're going to come forward this time, y'all. I'll talk you through it. You can step or jump. Come up on your tippy toes. Bend your knees, look forward. Keep that upper back strong. Belly, belly, belly. Step or jump. Whoop. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Long spine that's supported. Exhale, soften the spine, especially the neck. Inhale, longest spine to come up, right? Find that work. Arms in whatever position you would like. Heart by the side, etc. And pause. As I've been sharing with you, my weight is always forward and to the left. I always have to even mine out. What's yours doing? We're going to add on. Inhale, a lot of the same work. Exhale, again, can you keep that spine really long until about halfway or so, yeah? And then soften it. Inhale, long spine. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Pause here for a second. So squat down a little bit. And I bet you anything you rounded. Yeah, we all do to do it. So I'm just teaching it differently today. I want you to reach your buttocks, bones back. Come onto your fingertips and lengthen your spine forward and try to find a little bit of strength through your whole spinal column, right? Lengthen the spinal column and then strength supporting around it. And then from there, you're going to bring the hands down. Try not to round any more than you have to. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back, top of a push-up. You know you can bring your knees down at this point. Exhale through your push-up. Keep the core turned on. Inhale, low cobra. If you want your upward dog, I'm not going to teach it today. It's all yours. You do you. I'm going to do me. Okay. Exhale back. We'll meet in downward dog. Strong belly and pelvic floor getting you back there. Inhale, right leg into the air behind you. We're going to open the hip today. Stack it. Bend right knee towards buttocks. Reach right knee up and away from you on a diagonal as you push your hands forward and down. Hey, right front of my body, what's up? Go ahead and come back through center, square hip, flex foot, long leg. So three-legged dog is what we call this one. My left heel just kicked in. I got to remind my left inner groin to go back, my right inner groin to go up so my toes point down, all the stuff, right? And then we're going to try and step that foot forward. We're going to pull our belly up, and we're going to try and the foot forward and, you know, forklift it when it doesn't get it, or bring your knees down if you need to. No big whoop. Here we are in high lunge legs. I don't have my blocks. You can use blocks if you want to. Please bring them in. I forgot to bring mine forward. And then from there, maybe that right arm reaches forward, bicep next to ear, right hip moving back. Maybe that left arm reaches forward. And then we're going to bend the left knee and bring the whole unit up. So the spine stays long the whole time, right? I need another layer off. Dang, I'm making us hot today. Pull those frontal hip points up, right? Find that containment of the corset that we've been working. Maybe the right leg straightens a little bit, but not at the expense of anterior tilt, right? That's not a long spine. Not wrong, just not where we're going today, y'all. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring that left heel down. So I'm going to turn out a little bit to do that. We're going towards warrior two, just so you know. And then I'm going to swivel my chest towards the long edge of my mat. My arms tee out, warrior two. You know, hands can come to hips, yeah? And, you know, I need to make a couple of adjustments in my body, getting in that way. My heel's a little too far in front of my knee. Whatever yours are that you remember. Breathing. Reverse warrior. Left hand on left leg, right arm reaches up. I am not mirroring, just so you all know, I will look opposite of you. Reach forward, forward, forward. We're not going to hold much today. Right arm down, left arm hand could be on hip, or you could reach the arm over. Side angle. Reach your left fingertips up to the sky, straighten right leg, triangle. Right hand on that shin without pressure, right? Between two planes of glass, all the stuff we always talk about. I'm just not bringing it up, but guess what I am going to bring up? Is your belly just blowing forward right now and down to the ground? Can you find that containment of the corset today? That's the main focus of the day, is the corset, the transversus abdominis. Come on up into warrior two. So bending that knee in, you're almost there. Swiveling down, that left arm goes woo, up and over. I bring my hands down, I step back. Downward dog, if you don't want the heat, Top of a push-up if you do, your choice. Exhaling through your push-up if that's where you're joining me. Otherwise, hang out in downward dog, no harm. Inhaling your upper back bend of choice. Please use your corset to go back to downward dog. Sorry for yelling, but that is an important transition. If you do that 1,000 times in your yoga career without supporting your low back, right? Not cool. Inhale the left leg up, open the hip, bend the knee, heel to buttocks. So we've got the unsquared hips first, right? Oh, doesn't that stretch feel lovely? Whew. Maybe it doesn't to you, it does to me. Come back through square, three-legged dog. So I've got an incredibly straight left leg. It's pushing up and back. My hands are reaching forward and down. My inner groin are participating. And then I'm gonna try and bring that forward. To do that, I round into cat to make space to try to step it forward, right? We're gonna stay on the toes initially, coming into crescent, lengthen spine right here, right? Maybe that, pardon me, left arm reaches up, maybe not. Maybe hands are on the hips the whole dang time. Right arm might reach up. This is a lot of frickin' weight. Bend the right knee. So hands on hips, the gentler version, yeah? With the right knee bent initially, hopefully I don't even have to say this stuff because you did it on the way up. Ha, 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 ha. Frontal hip points up, right? Keep the low back long. The support system is engaged. Maybe I straighten that right leg a little. Trying to get that hand going that way too. That's that freaking in the groin again. And breathing. I know, but I'm trying to get in that a little bit. I know. And then go ahead and bring that right heel down. Gently, gently. It's a big swivel for pelvises, right? And then turn the chest towards the long edge of your mat. Tee the arms out or put the hands on the hips if you need a break. No harm, no foul. Hey, how's everyone warrior two on this side? How's it feeling? Bring that right hand down, that left arm up. I don't change my legs for this stuff. Reach forward, forward, forward. I've got my weight distributed through all three corners. I'm sure of it. Okay, I didn't at all, but I'm doing it now, right? Reach the right fingertips up, maybe straighten that left leg, left fingertips on the leg without pushing, triangle. And now stay here for a hot second and check into corset. Is it even turned on? Mine almost never is unless I invite and ask it to. I'm bringing you up a titch, girl, because this is that work of that glute we've been talking about. Yeah. And breathing into that. And then inhale into warrior two. Whew. Woo! Try to really work that back heel down and get that thigh. Swivel, swivel, swivel. Right arm up and over. Go to downward dog if you're like, are you kidding me? Last push-up series, just so you all know, right? I'm not saying that's a challenge and you should do it. Exhaling down. I'm just saying if you're like, how many more? Just this one. And then exhale back. Downward facing dog. Do you feel how much we need to use that corset through that whole series? I mean, we don't have to, but god darn it, I'm concerned about people's spinal health if we don't. And we do that 1,000 times in our yoga career. Inhale. On your exhale, come up on tippy toes, bend knees, look forward, step or jump, pull belly up, right? Whether you're doing either one, reaching that chest forward. Longest spine ever. Exhale, fold. Woo. Inhale, coming all the way up. Longest spine ever. Again, even more than last time. Exhale. Woo. Tadasana. Just some things to pay attention to. Where's the weight in the feet? That's mine, right? Are your thighs working? They might not want too much more at this point in time. Where's the corset and all this, right? That whole, we teach the front body so much and it's the belly we see, but we forget that that back is just as connected, right? That the side waist is a part of that, a participant. Ready for one more piece of heat? I'm gonna take, yeah, nobody said anything in person. Everyone's like, no, no. It is indeed. But here's my theory on that. It's Monday, it's true, or it's Tuesday, but it's, you know, it's the beginning of most people's week. But in my years of teaching, one thing I have noticed is even though we may think like, oh, but we're going to have so much more energy at the end because it's Thursday and it's Friday, our bodies don't always necessarily. I feel like often we've got a little bit of juice in the beginning, and then, you know, the week goes on and we earn work and all the things, and we might not have as much energy. And I think you got to use some energy to get some. So I also believe in, like, not that you need to kick your pants, grab your block, but I do believe that it can be a really useful thing to bring our energy up so we have that as we move into our week. My 2 thoughts on that. So I'm trying to stand with my weight evenly distributed in my tripod in my feet 2 weeks ago. The block is really going to help me with that whole inner groin thing and low back and pelvis stability, right? And again, between the knees, if you can. If you're like, ouch, that hurts my bones, then come up. But if you can do the knees for this specific one, right? I am not trying to Suzanne Summer crush that thing, right? I'm moving into it until I feel an engagement, right? And I know it's not going to fall out. We're only going to come up to the height of the chest, just so you all know. We're going to come in and out of chair. So move into that block. And when you exhale, start to sit down into your chair. And then inhale up. Pretty simple, not easy, but simple, right? That's the motion. So follow your own breath. Try not to start to breathe really rapid and move really rapid if you can, right? That's breath work. Believe it or not, so much breath work in these classes, right? If we bring our awareness there. So moving into that block, this time stay seated, so to speak, right? We talked about putting the weight in the heels, right? Shins move back is another cue we hear a lot. Tone that corset. Does anyone else feel the belly just want to drop down and go into sway back, right? So we pull that belly up. If we can't, we come out of it a little bit. Don't bend so far, right? Stay out of sway back and keep your corset turned on. You could put your hands on your side waist if that's a helpful tool, right? And then now what's happening in your upper back? I'm just looking down at my block, not super helpful in my neck. Shoulder blades a little together, little down. My chest reaches forward between my hands, and I'm looking forward between my hands. I'm breathing. You're almost there, I swear. And we're going to come down. Now, when you need to release the block, if you need to just release the freaking block, right? Be safe. Buttocks to the earth. You did it. You did the hardest stuff. I'm going to sit with a little bit of height. You don't have to. Legs wide. Ooh, crack. We're going to bring the right heel towards the pubic bone, but remember my challenge from last week? No hands, Mom. Wherever you want to put them, but try to use the muscles around the hips and the belly, and then reach it back out. It's just this for the first bit, then we'll stretch, I promise. Bring that left heel in. Wherever it gets to is great. It doesn't have to be super close. And bring that out. Try not to use the hands if you can help it. Bring that right leg up and into what I'm going to call neutral. Think Paschimottanasana. Bring the left leg up. Bring the right leg out, same vein, way harder this way because it's further away from the body, it's more weight. And the left leg. We're going to do that series one more time. So I'm going to give you this advice or this challenge. It's not even advice. Instead of doing this, right? I'm exaggerating. You all know I am, right? I'm going to try not to move this part very much. Okay. So you can use your hands. You don't have to. Go ahead and bring that right heel in. Oh, I might not get in this far this time. Go ahead and extend that all the way out. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. And go ahead and bring that left leg in. And bring it all the way out. We're going to bring the left leg over first, just so you all know. Bring the left leg all the way across. Bring that right leg all the way over. You get to land it the next time, I promise. Bring the left leg out. Bring the right leg out. You did it. Whew. Bring the right heel in, but you can use your hands this time. Feel free to support that knee if necessary. Bring your hands back and get long in the spine. Activate left leg. Be careful not to hyperextend. If your heel pops up, you're hyperextending. Right? Get really tall. It's not all of us, but I know I've got 2 of us here. We're going to turn towards that straight leg. the left leg, and we're going to start to fold over that left leg. Now, as soon as I start, my right hip comes with me, right? That's not wrong, but I'm going to ask you to sink the right hip down and back, yeah? And then steer the belly a little towards that thigh and fold in. You might not get as close to the leg, but I bet you that lower right back, kind of around the corner from the love handle, might be saying hello, yeah? No? Yeah? Awesome. Pardon me. Now that we've been there for a few breaths, maybe that right hand reaches across to the outer left leg and just kind of slides towards the ankle, where it depends on proportions and where you are, right? But you just kind of slide it forward, not to pull your shoulder out of your socket, but to enhance the stretch in the side waist. Inhale, come on up. Whew. You can use your hands for any of these transitions. Let the right leg come out, let the left leg come in. Please feel free. This is that sensitive knee. I'm definitely supporting this, Bubba. Right? Get nice and tall. And we're going to turn towards the leg, and I'm going to bring your awareness to it first. Left buttocks, keep it down, right? Turn belly a little and soften over, trying to keep that left hip heavy. Soften chin, neck, all the things. And just stay here for a moment. I'll give you that arm across thing, but we're not in a hurry. Hey, left lower back. Golly gee, do I love you. Oh, QL muscle. That's one of the big ones we're hopefully getting into, right? Maybe that left hand comes to the outside of the right leg, and you just kind of gently slide forward. Again, be cautious about pulling your shoulder out of its socket, right? I'm lengthening my side waist, hopefully. So there's a slight hugging at the shoulder joint, I would say. Oh, I didn't know how much I needed this. Jiminy Christmas. Inhale, come all the way up. Whew. Let the legs both go wide, matching each other. Feet, toes pointing up, right? 2 weeks ago. I'm pushing into imaginary walls. Thighs down, ground them. Fingertips by the side for a hot second. Push down, and it's not like I lift my ass all the way off the floor or anything. I still have contact, but I start to get a little weightless, if that makes sense. So straighten your arms, and wherever you are is where you are. That's great, right? We all have different proportions. Now let your tailbone hang down. Let your butt, your pelvis get heavy and hang down in that. Does that make sense? And then set down and try to keep an element of that. If you found a spaciousness come into the low back, maybe that's where you live. Maybe you're already like, wow, right? Maybe that pelvis hinges over that hip socket. Keep the legs working. Keep breathing. And whatever variation you want. I see a friend grabbing big toes, like whatever, arms in front of you. You could have blocks under forearms. We're going to be here for about 3 more breaths. So there's nothing to see. Maybe the eyes closed if that helps you turn inward. There's nothing to see. That means your neck does not have to be turned on. And hands on something. Push that floor away, tone the belly, just enough so the low back stays protected. Bring legs, feet together, soles of feet. Grab ankles, pull against them and try to bring the pelvis upright. Now try to keep the psoas soft. I don't know about all y'all, but sometimes this gets kind of tight on me and I get, right? So try to soften if that's you. Now try to keep that as much as you can. Bring your hands next to your hips. We're gonna do that same thing we just did, right? You're just gonna straighten your arms as much as you can. Hopefully you get just a slight bit of what I'm gonna call weightlessness. I don't have a great word for it. And you're gonna let your hips, that really heavy pelvis with all of the organs and bones, get really heavy and soften down. Think of that being space in between all the vertebrae and the low back. And then as you set your hips down full weight, try to keep some of that. Hands might come forward again. They might not. You might stay here. You might try to hinge from the hips into your forward fold. And again, feel free to support yourself. I can make block towers for foreheads, you know, you do you. I will share that I'm a neck grabber on her. And I find often if I can get my forehead on something, that is one way I can start to teach my neck to soften. Are you breathing? Please do. No CPR today. Let that, Terry, let that chin tuck in just a little bit, my friend. There, even a little more. That occipit's still pretty tight. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, one more breath if you got it in you. Those forward folds and that beautiful grounding quality. Hey, Mother Earth, what's shaking? Okay. Hands can come on down. Bring the body up. We're going to come onto our backs. I'm going to ask you to roll down with a specific awareness. Put on your warmer layers if you need them. I'll put mine on a little bit. The roll down. We do this thing pretty much every class I teach at least once. But it's kind of cool to bring your awareness to different parts of the body. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about how the inner edge of the feet want to come up and what that does. Last week, we held a block between our thighs, right? This week, keep those two. Your arms can be forward. You know, you can walk down your thighs, your option, right? I'm going to pull my corset back so much that my low back rounds. I want my low back to round this time. So I'm working from the front side of the corset, right? And I'm contracting my pubic bone towards my sternum towards pubic bone until I come down and I unfurl, so to speak, or uncurl. Have those feet wide on your mat. Let's do windshield wiper. Tee the arms out and let those legs do that beautiful windshield wiper motion. When your knees go over to the right this next time, stay there. There are two parts to this today, right? So my knees are to the right, my top leg is my left leg. I'm gonna reach my left knee forward, not down, but forward. I'm gonna let that pull my left space into my left hip and my left low back. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. I'll come give you a manual adjustment so you can feel it in your body. And then keep an element of that, release it a little bit, but remember that. That's a better way for me to say it. You're going to put your right foot on your outer left thigh. If your knees say that's okay, if your hips say that okay. Now, that becomes a weight, right? I'm not pulling with my right foot. I could, I'm not teaching that today, right? I'm letting it be a weight. Now, with that weight, just really gently, like 5%, 7%, reach that knee forward again. Not down, but forward. And I'm just hoping you get some good love in that side of your left. Oh gosh, it's in my low back, it's in my outer hip. I feel it in my front of my left thigh. Bring that left foot down. Come on up. Legs over to the left. And again, we're working with the top leg, the right leg. So let the right knee, without the weight on it first, move forward, not down, but forward towards that kind of front left corner of your room. And just breathe into that for a second. Notice that. And then you can release a little bit of that. Let the legs soften into a passive position. Bring left foot on right thigh-ish. And now let that left leg be a weight. And if it feels appropriate, if it gets you something, if not, why do it? Let that right knee now reach a little forward again. And breathe. Bring that left foot down. Bring those knees back up. I'm going to suggest a brief happy baby. If you have something else you want to do, now would be the time. Otherwise, those knees, right? The knees come towards the chest a little wider than the ribs. Hands somewhere on the outside of the legs. Soft shoulders, neck, jaw, belly. Maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. Maybe not. And then one more piece, come back to center. Whatever point of contact you have with your legs, maintain that. And you're going to pull down and let the hands win just a little bit, meaning my low back will arch down to the ground, right? Round down to the ground. My tailbone will get a little light. Release that, let that go. And I feel that in my hips, right? And make your way into your final position, right? Maybe that is Shavasana. Maybe it's a supported Shavasana using blankets or blocks in some way. Maybe it's constructive rests. And, I could name off about 20 other things. So if you need help, let me know. I'll help you. Otherwise, try to support your body the best way you know how for where it's at this moment in time. And as you begin to soften, the body begins to widen down into the floor. We get that solid, solid base. I don't know, it was probably like a year and a half ago. I can't even remember who it was at this point. I wish I could to give them credit, but they said, relish your weight, right? We're not asked to do that very often in this society. But right now, relish your weight, just weighting down into the ground, feeling that connection. One more thing, and then I'll shut my pie hole. Just take a hot second and check into not just the belly, but the side waist and that low back, that whole corset we worked throughout class. Try to soften that entire muscle and fascia line. Bring your awareness back into your breath. Maybe allow that next inhale to be a little softer, a little fuller, just meaning the belly rising. And if you want any movement, please take some. Please don't rush, but do at some point start to make your way to that upright posture. And upright posture. There's no right one. And we get this opportunity to check in again. And first, just notice what is happening, what it's like to be in your body at this moment in time, right? But we can't contrast it to the beginning if we remember what that was. Maybe when you walked in, your low back felt tight. Maybe it doesn't anymore. Maybe you walked in and your low back didn't feel tight and now it does, right? It can go either way. It's a movement-based practice. Bring those hands together in front of your heart. Inhale. As you bow that head in, so much gratitude for these practices, the fact that you made it here today, right? All the teachings being handed down. I could go on and on and on. But above all, these beautiful bodies that house these beautiful spirits. Namaste.